The sky above. Let's travel in time to 40,000 years ago, the African savanna at dusk. A small band of humans huddled in the tall grass, watching the horizon darken. Not from nightfall, from something else. The sky splits open. Light tears through the darkness like a crack in reality itself. Thunder shakes the ground beneath them. Rain comes in walls, violent, unstoppable. And then, silence. The storm passes as quickly as it came. The sky clears. Stars emerge, cold and distant and utterly indifferent. But here's what's strange. Those humans didn't just survive that storm. They remembered it. They told stories about it. They began to worship it. For the next 100,000 years, every culture on Earth would look up at the sky and see the same thing: gods, thunder gods, sun gods, storm gods, sky fathers who controlled life and death from a throne above the clouds. But why? Why did the sky, of all things, become humanity's first, most universal object of worship? The answer isn't mystical. It's not even really religious. It's evolutionary psychology. It's survival. It's a glitch in the same brain that built civilizations. And it starts with a simple fact. The sky controlled everything. Survival and the sky. Before agriculture, before written language, before anything resembling modern life, early humans had one job: don't die. And the sky determined whether you succeeded. The sun told you when to hunt. When it rose, predators rested. When it set, you were vulnerable. The angle of sunlight told you which season was coming, which meant whether food would be plentiful or scarce. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers found something remarkable. They don't just observe the sun, they timed their entire lives by it. Migration routes, hunting seasons, social gatherings, all synchronized to solar and lunar cycles. And this isn't culture, this is survival architecture. If you missed the seasonal rains in East Africa 50,000 years ago, your tribe starved. If you didn't track the moon's phases to predict animal behavior, you went hungry. The sky wasn't background scenery, it was the operating system for human life. But it gets deeper. In 6000 BCE, before the pyramids, before writing, humans in the Sahara built stone circles aligned perfectly to the summer solstice. In Britain, Neolithic people constructed Stonehenge with terrifying precision. The stones framed the exact point where the sun rises on the longest day of the year. These weren't primitive people making lucky guesses. They were astronomers. They were tracking celestial mechanics with Stone Age tools because their survival demanded it. And here's where it gets weird. And this is worth hitting that like button for, because most people completely miss this part. They didn't just track the sky for practical reasons. They began to see personalities in it. The mind that sees agency. Imagine you're walking through tall grass at twilight. You hear rustling behind you. Do you assume it's the wind? Or do you assume it's a predator? If you assume wind and you're wrong, you die. If you assume predator and you're wrong, you just wasted some adrenaline. This is called hyperactive agency detection, and it's one of the most important cognitive biases humans ever evolved. Our brains are wired to see intention behind ambiguous events, to assume there's an agent, a someone, causing things to happen. When wind moves grass, we don't just see grass moving, we see something moving the grass. When thunder cracks, we don't hear atmospheric pressure, we hear someone shouting. Cognitive scientists call this attributing agency to natural phenomena. But here's the thing, it wasn't a bug, it was a feature. Because in a world full of actual predators, actual threats, actual chaos, being paranoid kept you alive. The humans who survived weren't the rational ones who dismissed every rustling bush as wind. They were the hypervigilant ones who assumed every rustling bush was a lion. And the sky? The sky was the ultimate ambiguous threat. It rumbled without warning. It hurled lightning that could kill instantly. It went dark during eclipses, an event so terrifying that some cultures thought the world was ending. And because our brains are wired to see agents behind threatening events, we saw someone in the storm, someone angry, someone powerful, someone who needed to be appeased. The birth of sky gods. And so, across the world, in cultures that never met each other, the same idea emerged. the sky is alive. The Proto-Indo-Europeans, the ancestral culture that spread across Europe and Asia, worshipped Deus Thuder, Sky Father, the bright daytime sky personified, the source of thunder, the ultimate authority. This deity evolved into Zeus in Greece, Jupiter in Rome, Diaspida in ancient India. Same god, same function, same psychology. But it wasn't just Indo-Europeans. In Egypt, Ra was the sun god who sailed across the sky in a boat, fighting chaos every night to bring dawn. In Mesopotamia, the stars themselves were gods. Planets were wandering deities whose movements determined the fate of empires. In indigenous American cultures, thunderbirds controlled storms and brought life-giving rain. Different names, different stories, same pattern, because the pattern wasn't cultural, it was cognitive. Once humans attributed agency to the sky, our social brains took over. We started reasoning about sky gods the same way we reason about people. They have emotions. They can be angry or pleased. They respond to offerings and obedience. And here's the crucial part. It worked. Not because the gods were real, but because the rituals synchronized communities, created shared calendars, and reinforced cooperation. And if you think that sounds like I'm about to say religion is just a useful fiction, subscribe, because the next part gets way more interesting than that. From survival to religion. In Lascaux Cave in France, there's a panel that's puzzled archaeologists for decades. A man, a bird, a bison, strange symbols. Some researchers now think it's not just a hunting scene, it's a cosmological map, a diagram showing the layered universe, underworld, earth, and sky. These weren't just paintings, they were sacred texts, maps to navigate not physical space, but spiritual space, the vertical cosmos where shamans claimed to travel. And as human societies grew more complex, these diffuse sky spirits consolidated into something new: high gods, centralized deities who combined weather control with moral authority. Zeus didn't just throw lightning, he punished oath-breakers. Ra didn't just bring sunrise, he embodied cosmic order. And when kings and emperors emerged, they claimed a special relationship with these sky gods. In China, emperors ruled by the mandate of heaven. In Egypt, pharaohs were literal children of Ra. In Rome, emperors were declared gods after death, ascending to the sky. Political power became cosmological power. And the sky, once just a survival tool, then a source of animistic spirits, became the throne room of absolute authority, the legacy. So here we are, 40,000 years later. We don't worship thunder gods anymore. We understand atmospheric pressure and electrical discharge. We don't pray to the sun. We know it's a ball of fusing hydrogen 93 million miles away. But the psychology hasn't changed. We still look up at the sky and feel awe. We still check horoscopes. Astrology is just ancient star god worship in modern clothing. We still fear storms, still feel small under vast night skies, still search the cosmos for meaning. And when we send telescopes into deep space, we're doing what our ancestors did, searching the sky for answers about who we are. The difference is methodology, not motivation, because the sky shaped us. It taught us to track patterns, to build calendars, to imagine forces larger than ourselves. It gave us mathematics, because you can't predict solstices without it. It gave us navigation, because you can't cross oceans without reading stars. It gave us philosophy, because staring at infinity forces you to ask existential questions. The sky didn't just control our survival, it built our minds. And maybe that's the real answer to why early humans worshipped it. Not because they were primitive, but because they were paying attention. They looked up at the vast, indifferent cosmos, and instead of despair, they found meaning. They saw agents in chaos, patterns in randomness, divinity in physical law. And we still do. We just call it something else now. If you want to understand more about how evolution shaped the human mind, from our ancient fears to our modern obsessions, subscribe to Sapien, because the past explains the present, and the present shapes the future. We're just getting started.